So no matter how hard I try to be organic, there are times that I will go off my rocker and open up those chemicals and start spraying like a madman. I'm all dressed in black today to remember all those lives lost during this war. And it doesn't look like this war is going to end anytime soon. War, what is it good for? Well, as I said, it's not going to end anytime soon. But what is it good for? The war I'm talking about is the war against pests to keep our orchids looking this good. So welcome to episode 11, I don't have 11 fingers, of our hotly debated orchid care topics. Pest management, and should it be organic or should we use chemicals? Well, let's dive straight into this. Welcome to the Nature Company. Today we're going to be looking at pest management, both from the chemical and from the organic perspective, to help give you a broader view of what both of them entail. And we'll give you the scientific evidence for both of them and an understanding of when to use each one to get the best out of your orchids to ensure that they're not completely decimated by those pests. And at the end, I'll give you my verdict and go through the best practices in pest management for your orchids. And if this is the sort of information you're interested in, please hit that subscribe button down below and that notification bell to be notified of all our upcoming content so you don't miss out on a thing. So as orchid grows, we seem to be fighting an endless battle against mealybugs, aphids, thrips, scale, you name it, a whole list that seems to be never ending. And we need to find a way to be able to protect our orchids from this, because if we leave them unchecked, we're going to land up with leaf deformities, stunted growth, and even possible death of our beloved orchids. So what are the best ways of managing these pests so that we can keep our orchids blooming? Viewpoint 1, chemical treatments. The growers that use these chemical treatments often suggest they're the best because a lot of them can actually be systemic. It means they'll be absorbed up into the plant and it's going to protect your plant from the inside. So as those pests then start to feed on your plant, they will then be affected and die. So this is going to give you a longer term protection for your orchid, and it offers fast and effective results. So what are these chemical treatments we're talking about? Well, the three most common ones are systemic insecticides. These include active ingredients like imidacloprid and acephate, and these are absorbed up into the plants and protect the plants from the inside. These can have a residual effect for up to 6 months. And then there's the contact insecticides. These are malathion and the pyrethroids. These will kill your insects on contact. So while they're chewing and eating, you're spraying your plants, and that's when they'll get to those insects that are there on your plants at the time of application. They will have some residual effect as long as you don't have any rains or heavy watering to wash off this insecticide off the plants. And then there's the miticides, the abamectin and bifenazate. These are generally specifically targeted at the mites, generally spider mites. And the scientific support for the use of these chemical pesticides includes their targeted approach. A lot of these modern chemical pesticides are actually quite targeted at those specific pests that they are trying to reduce or kill. And that helps reduce the number of beneficial insects that are going to be affected by these applications. Also, the efficiency of these chemical pesticides is beyond a doubt. Being able to apply a systemic insecticide to a plant that's going to last in the plant for long term means you're going to have to apply far fewer applications, and it's going to, for one, save you a lot of time and possibly in the long run save you a lot of money too. And for the control of large infestations, chemical applications are extremely quick and effective at reducing the size of that population almost immediately. So in the cases where there are these large infestations, chemical applications are highly effective. So now that we get all the good news, what is the bad news? Well, the concerns around these chemical pesticides, for one, toxicity levels. The toxicity of these chemical pesticides can be extremely damaging, not only to humans ourselves, to our pets, and to aquatic life. Things like frogs and fish are extremely affected by the use of these chemicals. So please ensure if you are using them, make sure you're not using them near a water source. Because as we well know, things like frogs and fish and even geckos and lizards who are also affected by the use of these pesticides are extremely important in keeping the levels of the insects that not only attack us, but our orchids too, down. So we need to help keep the environment as healthy as possible to limit the infestations on our orchids and on us too. So this bleeds into the fact that these pesticides can have a detrimental environmental impact. So judicial use of them is going to be important. Overuse can be very damaging, not only to yourself, but to the environment in general. And with overuse of these pesticides, pests themselves can develop resistance to them. And that will mean the need for stronger chemicals or higher concentrations or more frequent use, which then just bleeds into a whole vicious cycle. This will bring us straight onto viewpoint 2, natural or organic pest control methods. Here growers advocate for organic methods of control. It's going to be safer for the environment and it's not going to harm those beneficial insects. Here the focus is on protection. So using natural substances, organic substances that are generally used to prevent the insects from attacking your plants themselves or actually eliminate them when they have started. So what are these organic solutions for pest control? Well, the list of them is expanding all the time as new research is being done, but there's a lot of those amazing home remedies that you can use, like your garlic and even your gingers. They do an amazing job at keeping off certain pests. And then of course there's some of those other products like your neem oil is highly effective in not only reducing the number of pests on your plant, but it actually deters the pests from coming to your plants as well. So it doesn't only kill the pests, but it also, I suppose in a way, disguises your plant from the pests so they're not able to find them as easily. Or they can smell it and say, no, I don't want to go there. Other ones are your horticultural soaps. These break down the waxy layers on those soft bodies in insects, which actually causes them to dehydrate and die. So it's an easy, effective way of getting rid of those soft-bodied insects like aphids and mealybugs and things like that. And then there's also your horticultural oils. These help almost clog up those air-breathing apparatus of the insects and causes them to suffocate and die. So it's a horrible way of death, but really effective. And of course, alcohol swabs. You're looking for at least a 70% isopropyl alcohol that you can then use to swab off your plants. This is going to kill those mealybugs and scale immediately on contact, and you can just use them to wipe them off the plant. So effective and easy, especially if you have a smallish collection of plants and you're just keeping management of your pests by going through fairly regularly and just wiping them off. And then of course there's biological control. This is the use or the release of beneficial insects like ladybugs that are going to eat other detrimental pests like your aphids and even spider mite, or even the use of bacteria or fungus that are then going to attack and kill those predatory insects that are going to want to eat your plants. Even those mycorrhizal booster packs have been proven to help keep your plant in a state that's going to help it fight off pests itself. So the use of beneficial organisms is growing in popularity due to its effectiveness. So what is the scientific support for this organic approach? Well, studies have shown that the neem oils and insecticidal soaps are effective in getting rid of those soft-bodied insects while not damaging those pollinators. So that's exactly what we're looking for, less detrimental environmental impact. Also, science is showing that the biological control, is one of the most effective ways of controlling pest populations in the long term. Also, these pests do not build up a resistance to these organic pesticides, especially the things like the horticultural oils or the insecticidal soaps. And they've also been proven to be less detrimental to the beneficial insects and those pollinators. So your bees and that are generally unaffected by these sorts of applications. And now let's face it, if there weren't some concerns around the organic pest control, we'd all be using it all of the time without the need for chemical intervention at all. So what are the concerns around organic pest control? Well, for one, it's much slower acting. It can take several applications and then maybe even a continual application throughout to keep control of those pests. They are really not suitable for massive infestations where perhaps your breeding cycle is faster than what the death cycle is through the use of these chemicals. So you may then need some other form of getting rid of a large number of insects quickly to be able to control the situation. And at points with these severe infestations and with the limited effectiveness, we may want to make sure we're not getting any other viruses or bacteria or other detrimental diseases brought in along with those heavy infestations. We need to make sure we can limit as much of that infestation as possible. And then also when it comes to using some of these insecticidal soaps or horticultural oils, environmental sensitivity can be a little bit problematic because in severely hot climates, they can actually cause certain amounts of burn or damage to your leaves when applying them. And so you may want to delay your application until later in the afternoon or early evening, so you're not getting heat or sun stress on your plant at the time of application. Also, with organic applications of pesticides, they can be easily washed off the plant by heavy rains or even a lot of watering. So you have to take into account your watering schedules and your environment to ensure that you're not going to be applying them just before rains. So what is the final verdict on the use of these chemical or organic pesticides for your orchids? Well, most experienced growers say use the organic approach for as long as possible. Use it for prevention to help keep your orchids in a healthy state. That way they can help fight off any pests themselves. And if you do see small infestations, then treat with an organic pesticide. That should get rid of the problem as needed. And then only if you see a big, large, sudden infestation that you know your organic products are going to take a while to treat, then smash it with those chemicals. Ensure that you get all of it, and you should then be out of trouble. And then you can turn back to the organic approach to keep control of them. So by doing it this way, you're going to be doing what's best for the environment itself and what's best for your orchids. And now, what is going to be best practice for pest control in your orchids? Well, for one, preventative care. Ensuring that your orchids have the right airflow, the correct amount of light, the right amount of watering, and ensure they're kept in a healthy state. This is going to help them fight off any insects themselves, and just with the smallest amount of regular inspection to be able to ensure you can catch the infections before they get too bad. And by doing those inspections, you're going to get early detection. You're going to be catching those infestations before they get bad. And that way you can treat them quickly and not cause damage to the environment in doing so, because then you can use your organic products. And also, if you're catching them early, then physical removal is going to be quick, easy, and hassle-free. So even if you're using that isopropyl alcohol swabs of at least 70%, then they're just easy to wipe off. Few pests, easy. Or you can just hose them off quickly, and that should do the trick. And by what I mean hose, just don't take your hose pipe and spray them down. Just spray them off with your spray bottle. And this may help you avoid treatments altogether, or at least make sure those treatments get to where they are needed and onto the balance of those insects that may be hiding. And then also, especially if you are prone to using those chemical treatments, rotate your treatments. Rotate them so that the insects that you are treating don't become resistant to them. So preferably rotate them in with your organic treatments, as those insects are not able to form resistance against those. So if you've had a heavy infestation and needed to use a chemical solution, then afterwards go through with your organic solutions for a while to manage the situation afterwards before having to go back to use chemical again, please. This way you're going to reduce the chances of breeding resistant pests that we all then will have a trouble with. So I hope by this little discussion you have a better idea of both viewpoints on this pest control, and it will help you manage your pests better in the future. But always remember, the best pest control is prevention. Keeping your orchids healthy and happy, allowing them to help fight off the pests too, will make it easier for you in the long run. Just a little sidebar, not all pests are bred even. Here we have the Dendrobium beetle that somehow managed to get its way here from, I think it was Australia, and it has become an awful problem. So even when I see the smallest signs of them, 1 or 2, I catch and kill those immediately, but then I immediately go and spray with those systemic insecticides, because I know how devastating they can be for my plants, and they can just about attack all of my orchids, especially my vandas, my epidendrums, along with those dendrobiums. So I'm afraid one time that I do go overboard is as soon as I see those dendrobium beetles start attacking my plants. So no matter how hard I try to be organic, there are times that I will go off my rocker and open up those chemicals and start spraying like a madman. And such is life, because here in South Africa there is no natural predator for these dendrobium beetles. So when they do multiply, they multiply up like mad. And it's not only the beetle itself that's going to be eating your orchid, it's the larva as well. So all stages are going to be feeding on your orchids and causing devastation. So may the gods of organic orchid maintenance forgive me for my missteps here, but it's not that often that I have to do it. Perhaps every second, possibly third year. So fingers crossed we don't have another attack and we'll be safe for a while longer. And if you need any further detailed information on this topic, please check down in that Buy Me a Coffee link down below. Ed posts up a lot of information down there all the time on all manner of orchid related content. So don't be shy, go have a look. There's a lot of content available there for everyone, and there is members only gated content. So don't be shy, sign up, become a member, and grow like a pro. And thank you for watching. If you found any of this information helpful, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button down below, and that notification bell, bing bong, to be notified of all our upcoming content so you don't miss out on a thing. Help us grow as we help your orchids grow.